Vegas. This is NAB Show Live, produced by Broadcast Beat.
Thank you, Ryan. Welcome. You're watching NAB Show Live from the grand lobby of the Las Vegas Convention Center Central Hall. I have had quite the day. I've been running around seeing things, doing panels, doing broadcasts, but I have to say that this is my absolute favorite, most favorite segment. I got to book this segment, I got to plan this segment, and this is on independent VR filmmaking. Now, I'm just going to give my opinion before I introduce these people. The real innovation in VR, in my opinion, is being made by independent filmmakers, because these guys are the hackers. It's these guys' imagination and their knowledge of technology that is able to combine content and technology and actually make the technology serve the story instead of the other way around. So first we have Angela Haddad from 1/3 Blue. We go way back. Then we have Graham Sack, and we go back about 20 minutes. Then we have Christina Heller. We go sort of way back. And then we have Angel Manuel Soto, and we go back less than Graham and I do. All of them are independent filmmakers. And Angela, I don't know if you're mic'd up or not, so I am just going to grab this mic right here, and I'm going to put this. Okay, this is I'll let you do that. This is a G-rated program. So Angela, my experience, we're going to write down the line. My experience with you was first animation.
Yes.
And hand-painted animation in VR. Right. And this is something that there really wasn't a market for. No one had really done it. Now we have more art in VR. Can you talk a little bit about some of the projects, your experience as an independent filmmaker, surviving as an independent filmmaker? Yes. And then I believe we have something to show. So would you like to show that first, or?
Sure, yeah, please.
Okay, can we show one of Angela's assets first? Oh, that sounded awful. in just a second. So talk a little bit about your work. They're going to pull it up.
Okay, awesome. So basically I make watercolor art
We're going to move this up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
So basically I paint watercolor art by hand, literally watercolor on paper, and then I animate it into 360 videos. And my content is very much geared towards branded marketing campaigns. I mostly work with fashion lifestyle brands, music labels hopefully, of course, and any brand that wants to create, innovative 360 video campaigns for their marketing.
You're running Fashion Week.
So this is one of my examples.
Can you talk a little bit about it?
Sure. So this is a piece called Paris Fashion Week, and these are all some of my characters that I created. Again, watercolor on paper, and then animated into this very, I guess, magical world in my opinion. It's basically a Paris plaza, and there's a lot of fashion girls floating around in balloons in the air.
How do you work in VR? How do you paint in 360? How does that happen? Or do you paint flat first and then?
I do paint flat first, and then I scan it in, animate it in a 360 environment to make out a 360 video.
And you've also worked as a traditional producer in live action, correct?
Yes, I have worked on a lot of live action. Live action has been really fun for me. Did a little bit of monoscopic footage, a little bit of stereoscopic, but I think animation is where it's at for me, because I feel like that's the area that gives me the most leeway in terms of creating magical worlds that don't exist in real life.
And I did notice that Angela did a music video that actually it was live action, but it actually had animation painted over it, and that was all around you. So
yes, that was a really fun piece to create. We created it for a Live Nation artist called Flaptop, and it was a live action video that was filmed in first person point of view, and then I painted by hand animations over some of the characters in the music video. It was a lot of fun.
Where can people find the music video?
Email me, Angela@onethirdblue.com.
Oh my God, that's going to be a lot.
It's not out yet, but
and 1/3 Blue is spelled out.
1/3 Blue is spelled out.
Great. So Graham Sack. So Graham and I had mentioned this yesterday. Graham came and did a segment yesterday. Time Magazine cited 5 pieces in VR that you must see now, and we were on there for My Brother's Keeper, but Graham was above us, and I was like, Lincoln in the Bardo, Lincoln in the Bardo. Doesn't that sound interesting? And I went to watch it, and then I stalked you, and I tracked you down, and I found you. And tell us a little bit about Lincoln in the Bardo. First of all, you were an actor before you were a filmmaker.
Yeah, I grew up acting professionally from about age 10. I spent a lot of time in theater as well as film. And that's been a sort of a big influence on the way that I approach VR filmmaking. I try to bring a fairly theatrical lens to it. I think in a lot of ways there are there's almost more from theater that I think we can draw on for kind of a starting vocabulary, in part because you no longer have authoritative control over frame, but you do have control over mise-en-scène, and a lot of the traditional theatrical tools for how you lead people's eye around the space, use of sound, use of movement, etc. That was a lot of the approach that we used in Lincoln. The project was released by NYTVR on February 14th. It coincided with the release of a novel by the same title by George Saunders, who some people may know. The book made #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. This was effectively the first novel to VR adaptation.
So, congratulations on that. But in typical independent filmmaking fashion, was this something you pitched to New York Times Magazine? Okay.
Yep.
And you had to go, like any independent filmmaker that reads a book that they want, you had to go get the rights to that for VR.
That's right.
And you just said this was the first time that was ever done.
That was the first time it was ever done, yeah. So George and I were in touch. I originally thought that we would probably adapt one of his short stories that are kind of techno-dystopic and deal thematically with VR. It turned out that his first novel was coming out. This was his 10th book, but first novel. And we got excited about the idea of doing it in VR. I wanted to do it with fairly heavy special effects, and so it was, not an outrageously expensive project, but it required a fair amount of financial.
Let's see what we've got. Support. Can we run Graham's Lincoln and the Bardo, please? While we're waiting, there we go. Look at that.
So this is so the characters that you see on screen. The premise of the book and in turn the VR piece is. About a year into the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln's youngest son, Willie, died of typhus. And the novel, and in turn the VR piece, are narrated by this chorus of dead souls that you see on screen right now. And Willie is awaiting the arrival of his father, who he helps will bring him back from the land of the dead. And that's sort of what starts to unfold over the course of this trailer that you're watching right now. In a moment or two, I think we'll see Lincoln enter, Willie run towards him. I think he's entering right now. And then the piece unfolds, you can see it right here. And then the piece unfolds a little bit further along. There's this sort of chorus of dead souls that all fade in. There are about 100 separate pieces of video in some of the later shots. It was the way that we shot this was partially on location. So Lincoln, you'll see, was shot in tandem with the environment, and then all of the dead souls were shot independently on green screen, and then we did VFX manipulation and composited them back into the environment.
What did the author think when he experienced it?
I was nervous about it the entire process. We took essentially the emotional keystone of the book and put it on screen. I met him at a hotel in New York with the rough cut. I put him in the headset, and I waited until we hit the emotional climax, which is about 6.5 minutes into the piece. I heard nothing. I got very nervous, and then he said, "I'm crying in here, man." And what he talked about was that sort of an odd experience of being returned, in a sense, to the moment of writing. That I think when he was visualizing the scene, it was very spatial, and then it's funneled through the sort of bottleneck of text. And we kind of recovered, I think, in some sense, the kind of spatialization that was in his mind originally. And he loved it, and has been a huge supporter. We toured it with the book tour.
Good on you, as the Australians would say. Excellent. Christina Heller. So Christina, VR Playhouse was in early. I had what they call VR envy, because what you were starting to produce, you guys really were sort of like the vanguard. And actually, what was great is, and I know that Lightro, which is a new light field camera that they just released, they called on you guys to be the storytellers, to actually work with the camera to help inform that process. So here you are, independent company, out in the world, scrambling really fast. You and Ian working as hard as you can, dancing as fast as you can.
True story.
And that result, I mean, I can remember, because I met you that night after you had just come back from that.
No way.
Yes,
okay.
I met you that night. Yeah, Ian was a little shell-shocked. But I met you that night. Can you talk a little bit about VR Playhouse and your approach to filmmaking?
Yeah, sure. So VR Playhouse is a production company and creative studio that specializes exclusively in VR and AR content. So it's interesting. I was sitting with these directors, and though I have directed some VR pieces, especially like the early works at VR Playhouse, I see honestly, my job and Ian's job is more like curating amazing VR experiences and working with really smart collaborators. So, we do obviously do a ton of production services, and and that's how we
everything from live action, and you did Defying the Nazis in CGI.
Yes, Defying the Nazis. Alan Blitz is here, the director of that. Done in CG, and we also do game engine stuff too. In fact, we have a piece we're releasing. So we're releasing 4 originals this summer, all in the storytelling narrative, bracket. And we've been working on them quietly behind the scenes for 2 years, amidst our production services work. So I'm very excited to release all of these. And they're all a little different. The one that we're releasing first is called The Surrogate. So The Surrogate is an interactive piece for a high-end headset that you use the gamepad to navigate inside CG walls, and at the end of each wall is a portal where you can stick your head in like a window and into a room of a house. So we've integrated 360 video components into a game engine, and we've done it
6 degrees of freedom.
Exactly. Well, it's kind
which
of
they call
it's kind of a
six
clever,
stuff.
Yeah, six stuff. It's kind of a clever way of doing video in the game engine, which is still very challenging, as a lot of filmmakers know. So. Your character has retreated into the walls of the house that she used to live in, and she is, and they've hired a surrogate to play her/you in your life. So you navigate these hallways and you peek into the rooms and you watch your husband and your new surrogate enacting out this like strange Lynchian drama from room to room. That was created with a great filmmaker named Peter Flaherty. So that's coming out this summer, and I'm excited. It feels like an immersive theater piece for high-end headsets.
And I know Peter very well.
You know Peter well too, cool, yeah. And then we've got a piece called First Person, which was my little passion project that, no joke, we started filming in August 2014.
I understand.
And it's
our
finally
independent
coming out
projects
now.
are like, okay, put that on the back burner so you get paid for this.
That's like a Bean John Malkovich style experience where you're inside this guy's head after a recent divorce as he's getting back out into the dating world. And in that case, we were exploring the idea of intimacy in the headset. And I purposely picked actors who Ian, who's the voice, had an already established really close relationship with. And we did it all improvisational so that it would come across extremely natural and extremely real. And the question was like, if you're having a conversation with somebody inside this headset, like how real can it feel? And how like energetically close can you feel with that person? And so anyway, 4 episodes of that coming out. And
I'm going to stop you for a second.
I got to keep going.
Yeah. This is what I mean about hacking and experimenting and asking those questions of yourself. When you're working for a client, you might or might not have that time. We were lucky with My Brother's Keeper. We had the time to hack the camera to get the kind of effect and the intimacy that we want.
Totally.
So you have to, as independent filmmakers, use your imagination, which is a great segue into Angel, because you did Bashir's Dream. We actually didn't meet at Sundance, and we were this close to one another because both our films premiered there. And Bashir's Dream, I'm going to let you tell the story of what it's about, but it was just this brilliant combination for me. First of all, that's why I got into VR, for the kind of content that you've created. So I think we have the trailer. What do we have?
I think the whole thing.
We have the whole thing. Okay, I'll tell you what. How about if we run it and you... No, I'm here.
There's nothing?
What do we have? In the booth? Hello?
Sock puppets.
It's okay.
Sock puppets. So the point of Bashir's Dream, I'm going to let you tell the story, but for us in VR, we want people to feel things. We want to immerse them. It's exactly what Christina was just talking about. And this is actually reality that you immerse people in. So can you talk a little bit about Bashir's Dream?
Yeah, when we went to do Bashir's Dream, we didn't really go to do Bashir's Dream. We went to Syria and Jordan to do something with Save the Children. And we were having the jump camera for the first time, so it was like, might as well shoot something because our Save the Children shoot got canceled.
And you were already over there.
We were already over there, so we started talking to war correspondents, and they led us into this boy who's a refugee in Jordan, right next to the Syrian frontier, who got shot in the back by a sniper while he was on the candy run. And so he's paralyzed and he's stuck to a wheelchair, and he has hopes and dreams of becoming a basketball player. And so we interviewed him, we spent a lot of time with him in his house, with his family, with his friends, and we took him to play basketball. And as we were editing, he was telling us his story, and even though it was compelling, maybe through his innocence or shock, he would laugh about his situation. And I wonder like what would be going through his head. So we figured out the best way to interpret all of this was what if we could animate such a terrible story in a childlike manner. So we tried to integrate those two to try to make an effective emotional combination.
And you did.
Yeah.
I think what's great about that piece, you know, we scramble to see each other's work. What was great about that piece for me was that you never felt sorry for him because he never wanted you to feel sorry for him. And you as the filmmaker and the director didn't take that approach at all.
No.
So the war and that was kind of a secondary character to the life before and the life after.
Yeah.
And you left this, and because the animation was childlike, and because it brought out that hope and that optimism, I mean, it worked. It really worked. And Bashir's Dream you can see on Samsung Gear VR and Oculus, and it's everywhere, right?
Yeah. It was actually also with you guys at that 5 best VR experiences.
Oh yes, it was. That's right, because that was part of my motivation. I said, look at these two guys. You're right. You're
So
absolutely
maybe
right.
they
Forgive me
also
for-
have it there, I think, on that link.
Yes, they do. You're absolutely right. So we were all in nice company, and that was a nice thing. I was like shocked because you'd like to be recognized as independent filmmakers. You want to be recognized for what you do, but as with anything else, you got to know in your heart first. So the recognition is something that's nice, but you were already on to the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was also a piece that was done with heart. You know, like there wasn't anybody like putting money on the project. We were not beating a deadline. We just shot it. We took our time. When it was ready, we were able to show it to the world. And like you say, having that acknowledgement and people actually, you know, feeling compassion to the story, asking how can they donate money to his cause, which is something that we're taking into consideration now, so that we can get him an operation. So it's
Oh
like-
my gosh.
So when you take it to all those levels,
So wait, is there a GoFundMe? Is there a place?
there
that people-
will be.
Okay.
There will be. I was just.
Oh my gosh! I
negotiating
wish
that
we
whole
had it
thing.
now.
Yeah, we're building it. We want to get a fair estimate of what it would be, what it would take.
Oh
We'll see how this travel ban also affects everything, because he has to like fly out of Jordan to get the treatment. So it shows you the humane aspect of the war in Syria, and also allowed me to explore different ways of storytelling.
And you're a
that was
traditional
limited.
director.
Yeah, I come from a feature film background.
And you told me yesterday, we had a chance to talk for a minute, that for you, it's all about the story, and it doesn't matter if that story is being told in one medium or another. You're going to tell the absolute best story that you can, regardless of the medium you're
Yeah,
in. And I think
100%.
all of us feel the same way.
100%. It's all about the story at the end of the day.
Yeah. Although I did have the chance not too long ago to go back to traditional, and I said no. You know. So
I crave it sometimes.
So, well, you know, you're possibly more immersed in the traditional than I was. I was escaping. So you know, we all work commercial. You had worked for a company when I first met you. Graham, you obviously have, you know, you have a whole career with clients and whatnot. Christina, you have stuff, but we all are independent filmmakers, and we all have our dreams of the independent things that we actually, you just said, we actually started shooting this in 2014.
Yeah.
I just want to ask, what is the biggest challenge, VR, in VR, AR, MR, whatever you're doing, what do you think, other than funding, what do you think the biggest challenge is for an independent filmmaker? I'm going to go right down the line in VR. You first, Angel.
Okay. Well, for me, the biggest challenge has mostly to do with the distribution that's available. Sometimes I don't feel that engaged as I do in movies. It has very little to do with the capturing methods, because they have the capacity to do a quality film. But the devices that are doing the playback are a little bit limited. So that is one thing that throws me off in terms of quality. In terms of the other quality, which is the storytelling, I think there's a lot to be discovered as a new media. Like, we're all trying to figure out how to make engaging conversations, how not to make it look too much like theater, how to understand that it's also not film. So there's a lot of stuff that we're all trying to figure out, and it's a beautiful journey. So at the end of the day,
The right attitude.
yeah, it's a beautiful journey. Like, we are gonna mess up a lot, and that's a good thing. Like, we need to screw up a bunch of times in order to get it right.
I just want to say from the point of community, we're very close. I mean, we're at the point right now where we're all sharing our experiences. You know, I could turn around and say, Christina, how did you do that? And most of us are willing to share those experiences. Antoine Cayrol from Okio Studios in France, I played him Real from Connor Hare and Alex Meter. And he took the headset off and he said, you just answered 10 questions for me. And it was like, if we can support each other, you know, we're raising all the boats. Biggest challenge?
I think one of the biggest challenges, it's about distribution, which is that we as filmmakers often make content for the headset viewing, yet the majority of people are going to be viewing it on their desktop or maybe their mobile phone. So optimizing your story for a 360 desktop experience or a mobile phone experience, it's not necessarily ideal, but should be considered. And so I think that that's been a huge challenge for us. And that's actually part of the reason I've become sort of an advocate of web VR in the last few months, because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff we can do with interactive narrative storytelling using the browser and like letting people play with their mouse, and then making it compatible for headset viewing if they want to put it in a cardboard. So I think there's a huge opportunity for brands and artists to get immersive content out using the browser, and also meeting people where they live, which is on their desktops and their computers. And then
and you do have this trend of 360 advertising that's coming, so that's the opportunity for storytellers.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
and then creatively, I think that one of the biggest things is timing. You know, like you kind of think you think you get the timing right, but then you put the headset on and you realize like you have to slow it down. So there's a lot of iteration that comes with headset, then back to the drawing board, headset, back to the drawing board.
We're actually getting some great tools. There's heat mapping coming along now, and Adobe had quite a few good tools.
Well, the tools, that's the other thing, is a lot of the things that were a big challenge 6 months ago are getting remedied. Like, for a while, we couldn't even view what our cameras were shooting, and now if you look at the Halo, you can just on your phone, you know,
yeah,
so it's
for
cool.
a while, we had no system, you know, we were numbering cards instead. Well, anyway. Graham.
I think the biggest challenge is also the thing that makes it the most fun to work in this space, which is the fact that the technology is changing underneath your feet at the same time that you're trying to make deeply moving pieces with it. And I think there's this continuous sort of push and pull between, do I want to work right at the bleeding edge of the technology, or do I want to work a step or two back with things that I can get more of a handle on? And so,
or do I want to invent the technology that serves my story?
And so, you know, when I look out at the landscape of content that gets made, you know, I think in some cases there's a strong pull towards things that edge into what I would call, you know, sort of the sort of gimmick side of the technology, or things that lean more in the direction of demos of new features. And I think, you know, we all have this impulse to be innovative, but we also want to make sure that we're making things that are really moving. And I feel like that's part of what makes it fun, but I think it also makes it very, very challenging relative to working in traditional cinema, where it's very clear what the technological limits are.
Well, and I'll jump in real fast. I feel like people are already writing off narrative 360 video when we haven't even begun to maximize inside the creative limitations of 360 video.
And I believe we've had this discussion that we are moving from, and I even say it in our behind the scenes, we're moving from the wow of VR and the like, ooh, now into true artistry. And this is where we're beginning to experiment.
Definitely. That actually ties into one of the first things that came to mind when you asked this question is, from a creative standpoint, oftentimes what is a challenge is figuring out blocking in a way to actually tell the story that you want to tell. And with the nature of the medium, there's so much space and so much opportunity for the viewer to get distracted or focus on a different story or focus on a secondary plot. But, you know, it's just figuring out, first of all, whether you're okay with that, and second of all, if you're not okay with that, how do you make sure that the story that you're telling is a story that they're viewing in the headset?
I'm going to ask you a quick question because we have very little time left. So, in theater, it's the writer and the director that hold the power. In film, it's the director that holds the power. In television, it's the executive showrunner, producer that holds the power. In VR, has the power returned to the writer, or has the power returned to the combination of director and writer?
I like to believe it's a combination of director and writer. I think that the director's work in VR is not that different from theater and film, but without a good script, you're gonna have a terrible film. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the DP was beautiful or not. If the story is not engaging, it just stays at a wow factor.
I always say the what of story doesn't change; it's the how that does. Christina,
I'm gonna throw a little twist in here, and I'm gonna say it's the actor's medium. Because I mean the director too. But the thing is that for the performers, like they hold a lot of power inside cinematic VR. You need to be both, I think, experienced with stage and film to really pull it off. And so for actors that enjoy, using their full instrument, here they finally get to like utilize it in the way that maybe they haven't been able to in the television and film era. So I think that actors will really enjoy working in this medium, and
Great.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Graham, quickly. Director, writer?
I
You're
think
both, so.
So I've spent a lot of my time as a screenwriter. I do think that the directorial role in VR is much stronger because the necessity of building a completely immersive mise-en-scène becomes a huge element of it, and considering the experience, and I feel like that goes beyond a traditional role for a writer. That said, I've found the most fruitful collaboration to be with my cinematographer and the VFX house that I work with, and really working collaboratively from the very beginning of the process, rather than having the attitude that I'm on a tour completely, I'm going to specify this and I'm going to hand things off for people to figure out how to do it. Working from the beginning with the full group of people that are going to be involved in doing spatialized sound, VFX, cinematography. I feel like that's how you get to the best
Angela,
work.
quickly.
I think it's, I have to mostly agree with Christina, actor plus director, and we're still at a phase where technology also plays a role in that. And one example is proximity to the camera. So of course, if the actor really commands the stage, but sometimes if you're shooting with something that doesn't allow for them to flourish, then unfortunately that can not have such a good effect.
Just incidentally, we didn't have a casting director. We let the directors cast because we didn't know if a casting director could actually cast for VR. And the actors that had done work with us had never done VR before, and they absolutely loved it. It gave them such an opportunity, and to walk out of the cornfield in our thing and not see a camera, but just see this little thing and not see a whole bunch of people behind you. It was totally immersive and not distracting.
It's like when they were acting in their bedrooms growing up. It's like getting back to that. Yeah.
So, but I would just say, from a writer's point of view, because that's the world that I come from, I'm imagining the world in my head with my eyes closed. So that for me, that's where it starts, and then I have to find the people to execute on my vision.
Let's call it collaborative then.
Yes, very collaborative, very collaborative. I would love to. I could talk about this forever, and I'm sure you all could too. Angel, Christina, Graham, Angela, thank you so much for being here today. The Shears Dream. What's the two coming out this summer that we did get?
In first person.
Lincoln in the Bardo. And what is the music video piece again?
It's Live Nation Slap Top.
Live Nation Slap Top.
Yep.
I feel old right now, so it's great. So you've been watching NAB Show Live. I have had a great time. I'll be back in a half hour or so. But thank you for joining us. And we're having, this is one of the best NABs I've ever been to. And I have to say that, just being on the floor. There's something I'm feeling about it, especially over at the AR VR Pavilion. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in a bit.
Johns from Shore. Hey there, thanks for having us. This is Michael Johns, product manager for Shure Incorporated here at 2017 NAB in Las Vegas, in booth 2218 in the center hall, showing you our new product, Axion Digital.
Cool. So let's just see what you got right here.
Great. So Axion Digital represents a new high-tier platform of Shure's wireless microphone line. We're taking two great products, UHFR and Axion, and replacing them with a new digital solution. What we've learned over the years of doing digital products is that there are a lot of benefits, specifically to spectral efficiency. So we're designing this product with a new high-performing digital radio. It works really good in the presence of multipath and other interference. It provides us the ability to get many channels on air. In a 6 megahertz space, we can get 17 channels on air. We have a feature called HD mode that allows you to get up to 46 channels on air in one 6 megahertz TV band.
Cool. So, you guys cater to the consumer market as well as the professional audio market.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely.
Cool. Let's walk around a little bit. I know there's other folks doing some presentations and stuff.
Certainly.
But like if we look back here, we're going to go back here and just move around just a little bit. So this stuff right here, let's talk about that. That's the Axient, right?
Yeah, so that's the Axient wireless system. It actually comes in 2 different styles. It comes in the AD series transmitters and ADX series transmitters. They both have extremely wide tuning bandwidth, great sound quality, and you're looking at the receivers right there.
Excellent. All right, now we're going to go this way and just do one more thing here.
Vegas. This is
Hello and welcome. This is Cameron John here coming at you from the NAB Live Show. I got some great guests here with me. Thank you guys all for coming. We have some great topics to cover, and I'm excited to be here with you guys. So I have 4 guests. I want to introduce each one. I want to let each one of them introduce themselves. So maybe 30 seconds, 2 sentences. Ladies first. Hillary, who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do?
live from Las Vegas. This is NAB Show Live. Produced by Broadcast Beat.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are we? We've got a great session here on gender balance, and I'm looking at the audience. We've got more men today. This is quite interesting. You want to find out what we're all about? Well, we're going to tell you. I'm Janet West, and I'm delighted to invite everybody on day 2 of NAB, and we're at NAB Show Live at the Las Vegas Convention Center. I'd like to introduce my guests. We've got some fantastic women with us today. First of all, Sadie Groom, who is Managing Director of Bubble Communications, but I loved your other title that I found on the internet, which is Marketing Empress. Isn't that lovely? And just to my right here, I have Lise Cassimi, who is Chief External Relations and Director of Broadcast Academy HBS Sports. And over on the far right, we have Elisabetta Romano, who is VP and Head of media solutions for Ericsson. Welcome, ladies. I think we're going to have some fun, right?
For sure.
Okay. What have you guys overcome, because you've all got great positions, what have you overcome to get where you are? Lise.
Wow, 25 years of fight, maybe? No, not fight. Just 25 years of hard work in the broadcast sports industry.
Yeah.
Changing different jobs, I would say, but still with the same approach. Being with men in general, or 99% with men. Not so many women interested in working in tech. So a bit difficult for us or for me to break the glass ceiling. It's happened. I've now turned 45, so it takes a while, but I've managed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sadie.
I think again, 20 years of worked just in this industry, and having to overcome the challenge of working in marketing, which is seen as a very traditional female role, but then as I've had my business for nearly 17 years, not being treated as a serious business person, and being called a marketing girl and being expected to scan badges at trade shows.
Okay, and we've actually got a really interesting international group here, haven't we? Because I'm British and Canadian. We've got French, British and Italian. So Elisabetta, tell me, what have you had to overcome?
So first of all, keep doing what I was doing in my family with my siblings, because we are four, two brothers and one sister, and then me. So fighting, to have space in the family, because I was in the middle, so very, tricky position. So keep doing the same, and I'm the head of a technology organization, so doing a technology fund since I was very young, and a lot of passion, energy, hard work, curiosity, and believing in what I was doing and I was believing. That's really what has drawn me here.
Okay. Why is it you think, and you've pointed this out, Lise, why do you think it is that we don't have enough women actually going into tech? I'm seeing growing a little bit, but it's still incredibly slow. What's the turnoff?
I think the first thing is what the core business is about, mostly freelancing, which means there is less security for women when they want to join the industry. So maybe the fact that you don't have a full-time salary, I would say, and if you want to have kids, then you're not sure about the future. Also because most of the broadcasters now are more interested into having only freelancers and no costing staff, which means that there is no career behind it. Yeah. So what's the point, when you start, when you're young and you're looking for something different, maybe, you don't see where it's gonna go or grow. So I think there is a lack of interest in general.
Yeah. Sadie, you have a lot of clients, and obviously the majority being technology. What is it that's turning women against tech? Is it what Lise said, or are there other factors?
I think there's two other main factors for me. One is the lack of role models. And I think, we did a bit of a research around the amount of female CEOs that were exhibiting at IBC, and we can find 6 out of 1,500 companies. Yeah. So I think that we need to find role models that will inspire.
We've got 2 great ones here on the show.
And then I think, secondly, if you look around all the manufacturers and the industry's websites, all you're seeing is images of men using the equipment. And then you look at their management teams, and there's less and less females. So I think if you wanted to go into that space and you would look round at the industry through digital, because that's what the students are going to be doing, and the young girls, they would just look at it and go, oh, why would I can't see any females in this industry, so clearly they don't look after you, or it's not something I'm capable of doing, which they absolutely will be.
Yeah, I think it's a valid point. You can go to IBC or you can go to NAB, and if you look through the news, awful lot more pictures of men doing the jobs as opposed to women.
Yeah.
Elisabetta, what do you think is stopping women going into the technology side?
I
I think that starts with how much women are attracted by technology. I mean, at least in the past, probably has been always seen a bit boring. Women are looking for more, how to say, fun things, more exciting, and has been always a bit connected. Technology, heavy, a bit boring, and so on. Now, luckily, it's changing.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of design and technology coming together, and that's, I think, is going to be really the booster for women being attracted by a technology, how to say, study and college and whatever. And I agree with the role models, probably lack of role models also. It's important. If I think about myself when I was young, at that time in Italy there were few women CEO in technology company, and by definition has been inspiring me when I started the college and believing that it was something good to do.
When I started with a broadcaster, I won't mention who they were, I was told, we can't pay you that much. And it was the same job as a guy. So yeah, it has been a problem. But I certainly didn't have any role models, so I feel we've probably ended up being a role model for some people. Is it a problem in schools that schools actually don't know about broadcasting? Because I think we all love this industry. It's fantastic, it's a little bit glamorous, it's exciting, and it's interesting technology and science. Is it the schools are not actually aware of what is going on in this industry, so they're not telling girl students? Do you think that's...
Absolutely, because I think they probably think of the word broadcast or film and their instant thought would be to be at the front of the camera and not behind it. And, that's true. Due to the celebrity-driven world we live in now, they probably think, well, I don't want to be a Kardashian because I don't look like that, but wouldn't think of coming into the industry because they probably just don't know the depth of business that there is that makes television or film. So
something I'd like to ask Lise and Elisabetta, do you think it's different in Europe to North America? And if so, in which way?
No, I would say, if we, in a general term, so if we think about women, technology, women, media industry, I would say that is quite similar. So I have a global role because I am globally for media solutions. So US, North America, Europe, APAC, it's quite a similar situation. Everyone is speaking about women in technology, in the media. Probably not a lot of talking. There's not too much happening, and it's a bit, I would say, a very general situation.
Yeah. Obviously, certainly in England, this politically correctness of what you can and can't say to women. You've obviously experienced things like I have. How have you dealt with it? I generally find humour's the best way to deal with those sorts of comments.
Yeah, I've actually had to be quite assertive to some people and just say, you can't speak to me like that. And then they're really shocked that actually you're pointing out to them that they shouldn't do that or say that. And actually, I think absolutely use humour. But in some instances, I've had to actually just say that, you wouldn't say that if I was your daughter or your sister. So,
Okay, let's talk about sports a little bit, Lise. Women in sports broadcasting, and in your role, what can you share in the sports field?
There's almost no one. Point one. Broadcast is already very difficult, and sports broadcasting is even more difficult, especially football, in my field. Having these 3 points together, you arrive with almost no one. It is a difficult industry in general because you have technical, you have football, which is a man's world. We have a few women. In general, they are not in top management jobs. They are more into admin, coordinators, HR, or communication in general, but they are not into technical or on the pitch. I have about 300 people working for me during a World Cup, and most of my people are working on the pitch to deliver unilateral service to broadcasters. And I definitely make sure that I have half of the teams when possible, because that's another issue. It's not the question of having women for having women. It's a question of having
the right
skilled women.
Definitely.
And do we really have skilled women who want to be to fight on the pitch? Not exactly. So there are some, but they're always the same, I would say. The new generation, I don't see that many coming. There is interest, but in general, they want to be interviewed and be in front of a camera. But those ones in the back, shadowing, any operations or being really the crafts, doing the craft of they don't want to be there. They don't. I think it's too much stress, maybe, for the delivery. They want to be shining but not doing, I would say.
And I guess on the technical side, if you've got an OB van that's traveling all over the place, that also, if you've got families,
it does affect. That's also one of the
problem.
reasons I was mentioning freelancers. Another reason why it's very difficult, it's also because we're traveling a lot and we're traveling very far and for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Most of my travels, I remember in 2006 we were the host broadcaster of the FIFA World Cup in Germany. And we were also the host broadcaster of the Asian Games in Doha, Qatar. For that year, I spent three months in Germany and 3 months in Doha, which means I have a daughter who will turn 18, and she's always seen her mom traveling, going, and to be honest, it's not like I don't feel like a mom, but there was a decision to be taken at some point that I took. And I'm really happy I took it now, because I think my daughter's proud. And on the other hand, now she's a grown-up and she doesn't need me anymore, I would say, not like she was before.
Yeah.
It is actually, you always feel very guilty as a woman, as a mom, because you're never in the right place at the right moment. You're at home, you feel about work, you think about work, and you're at work, you think about home. So how do we do? There's always somebody to tell you that you're not a good mom or a good woman. But if you manage to overcome that and you're really passionate about what you're doing, I think that works.
Okay. What's the Broadcast Academy doing for women to help this cause?
Yes, so I've created the Broadcast Academy at HBS in 2007, so that's about 10 years ago. The idea was to share the knowledge of broadcast with our colleagues from all around the world. But with time, there have been some initiatives around 3 pillars, which are leaving a legacy in the countries that we visit. It's about sustainability, making sure the host broadcasters offers a lot of content without sending so many crews around the world, not to pollute the world, I would say. And then the third pillar is about gender equality. Having not that many women, and especially around TV direction, it is already very difficult for men to become TV directors. So we've decided to also help women become TV directors, and we've partnered with EVS to create a live TV simulator that is replaying matches at will without the stress of live. And with that initiative, we're offering a program of mentor-mentee for women. We have men, very famous TV directors who are mentors for women, and they help them become TV directors in this very niche world of the sports broadcasting.
Okay. Sadie, you're on the board of Women in Film and Television, and I believe you run a separate Female in Broadcasting Women, and that's for what, non-craft roles?
So for Women in Film and TV don't tend to support people in sales or marketing or engineers or just business in general. So I started the group. I would like a bit more time to do more with it, to be honest, running a business and having a son as well. But yeah, I think it's a group that hasn't been looked after before. I think there's always a lot in the media around female directors, camera women, producers, but never really what I would say is sort of the NAB, IBC's market.
But why do we need separate groups for women? Shouldn't we be inviting the guys to the groups?
We absolutely do.
Okay.
But I think women will feel a lot more comfortable coming to an event like that for the first couple of times, and we hosted an event at IBC 2 years ago, and I had two women that like just put their hands up and asked questions, and then just started crying because they said they've never been in an event before where they felt comfortable to ask a question to somebody. So I think the events that need to be organised could almost have a sort of non-gender topic, but women feel sometimes just more comfortable asking questions and feeling more confident in women-only groups.
Yeah. Have you got, I'm not familiar with any groups in the United States, Elisabetta. Are there any groups for women here?
I think that there are several groups. I mean, it's very much connected with technology, women in technology, STEM. So there are a lot of I'm in California. I live there. A lot of initiatives, and so especially regarding really how push women to start to study regarding technology, and then how to help them during the career. I think a lot of initiatives. What I still lack is a bit, going back to the role model and the fact that there are women that are in top position. How really, in a very pragmatic way, they can help other women to succeed. Because again, too much talking. I think that we should have more really concrete initiatives. That's what I feel. I felt is a bit lacking.
What sort of initiatives would you like?
Yeah, but for example, organizing event where women are invited at different level in the career, people in the college, women talking, discussing what are the issues. Because for example, one of the issues, having family, so working in a family. In my experience, so I've been leading a big organization where with women in the organization, and there is always, for example, a moment in the life when you get children. That is, is a bit of an issue at that time because you want to be with your children. So there is, a bit of a dilemma there, and that is the moment where me as a leader, I need to be close to them and support them and to say, no, you can do it. You can, you can stay close to your children. Offering them flexibility because that part. So the first block is inviting them to be in technology, college, studying engineering, whatever. Mm-hmm. Then the second support is during the careers, really when with the children, and let them share experiences for women that are already in a top position and they have a family. So how these female have done it, how they've been working and with children. So I think that example every time happened to me when for example, we organize in Ericsson meetings with other women. They are, the young women, they are looking for a really, suggestions. It's okay, how you did it here, how you did it there. So very, very concrete. Not any fluffy things, but on a daily basis. How can things help them?
Yeah. I think the flexibility issue is really important because I remember when I was at Canadian Broadcasting,
Exactly.
I was the only woman in engineering, and but there was no sort of example. So I said, right, I'm starting first year 2.5 days a week, next year 3 days, and I was very flexible. So if there was a meeting, it wouldn't be that I'd be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning. I'd be there, and I think talking with bosses would make it a lot easier if companies could be flexible this way. Because after all, we can multitask, ladies, can't we? We can manage kids as well as work.
And it's becoming, again connected with how many women are at top position. Because if me, as a mother and and as businesswoman and technology person, I'm in a top position, I understand the top. So if someone asking, more flexibility, I definitely understand why they are asking. I'm sensitive to the topic because I've been going through that topic, and that means that what I do, I try to simplify the life of the others. If you have not been going through that situation, even if you are for diversity, gender diversity, whatever, but you don't know because you don't have the experience. So having women in top position and helping women in the career, that is important.
Yeah. Now I'm going to ask the audience something here because I see quite a few guys there. How many of you watch sports? Right. How many of you watch women playing sports? Oh, good. That's good.
That's bad.
But I think one of the things we've talked about, Lee, is that it would be really good if we could get more women. And I'm wondering what the limitation is. Is it the advertisers don't think that they can pay for, they won't get as much revenue, or what? Because certainly after the Olympics last year in England, there's, a real following of women's hockey. Yeah. We had the Oxford and Cambridge boat race where we had a women's race this year. So it is starting, but what's the limitation?
I can talk about football, which I know very well.
Yeah.
Since the Women's World Cup in Canada, there has been a tremendous change in the consumption. It's been a top event for the very first time, and the next edition will be, there are sponsors, there are people who want to watch. There is really something happening with women and football, and it really works. So I think the consumption will be more and more. If money arrives, there will be far more.
Yeah, because usually women soccer players aren't paid at all the same amount of money.
If you have a good team, and there are very good teams. The French one, as an example, is a very good one.
Okay.
I think you can really definitely, push forward and provide more. The next edition will be in France. So we really hope that to have TV directors on one hand who are women and men. We just don't want the women to cover women. There's no.
No, exactly.
Why? But at least if we could have one for that edition, it would be nice. But we're also hoping that we will have more people watching, more consumption around it, obviously.
And in the UK, I don't know if it's the same globally, but I imagine it is. There's a statistic that 85% of leading business women, so from all the boards in the UK, play competitive sports.
Isn't that interesting?
So, there is a connection there. So those women should actually be pushing
role models also in the sports.
Back to role models.
Yes.
Okay, if I was to ask each of you, give some young women in the audience here some advice, what would it be? If they're thinking, do I really want to get into this dominated man's world? Very quickly, I've only got a minute.
Yes, I think that the industry is evolving, is transforming. There is a lot of design and technology coming together. I think that the strength from a women perspective, is there, because combining design and technology, that is the future.
Okay.
That is going to be a foundation. So I think that is really the sweet spot for women to be there.
Sadie.
Do it. Do it because you'll stand out.
Okay.
And people remember you.
At least
Be self-confident. Trust in yourself.
Trust in yourself.
It's not a women thing. You really have to trust and go and decide. I think that's the most important now.
Yeah. Okay, look, this has been really interesting. I hope you guys the guys in the audience have had a little insight into what goes on in our minds. Hopefully, if you're managing a company, you'll be a bit more flexible for your women working there, because we're very productive. So I'd like to thank very much Elisabetta Romano, Sadie Groom, and Lise Kasimi. I'm Janet West, and we're here at NAB Show Live. Join me tomorrow. We're going to be talking about media asset management, and are we making standards in time for the evolving technology? Stay safe in Vegas, and see you tomorrow.
Hey guys, Nikki from NAB Show Live, and I'm here with Evan Gronke. He's the Senior Product Manager of AMD. How's it going, Evan?
Fantastic. Great start to the show so far.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited.
Very, very exciting. Lots of great things to show today from our Radeon Pro Graphics product family. Lots of partners here, and tons of exciting things.
Great. Very exciting. I want to talk about this next to us. But first, tell me a little bit about AMD.
So, AMD has been one of the leading graphics providers for a number of years. A lot of exciting things have happened in the last year. We rebranded our entire professional product line last year at SIGGRAPH with Radeon Pro Graphics, introduced a number of fantastic products from our WX series product lines featuring the latest architectures and the latest graphics process nodes. And here we are today, ready to start talking about our latest and greatest products that we just launched this morning.
I know, I heard. So now that you're allowed to talk about it, tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so what we have today is the Radeon Pro Duo. What it is essentially is the latest and greatest iteration of essentially our WX 7100. And what we've done is we've shoehorned in a single graphics card that fits in pretty much any standard OEM PC, two highly powerful GPUs. And what it does is it allows you to do fantastic things like what you see behind us right now is simultaneous workloads like real-time 360-degree video stitching, plus on the other GPU do amazing things like this 360 display with the warping, and then send that content over to our other display over here where you can actually do a VR head mount display. So amazing things you can do with the power of these GPUs these days.
So it's stitching, warping, and sending it to the VR.
Well, yeah, it's stitching and warping, and then the output of the stitching is actually being sent to another PC behind us that has another GPU in it that's doing the VR head mount display.
So cool. Thank you so much for speaking with us. I want to play with this stuff, so can we do that?
Absolutely, yeah. Jump on in.
All right. Thank you, Evan. This is Nikki with NAB Show Live.
Live from Las Vegas, this is NAB Show Live, produced by Broadcast.
Good afternoon. Welcome to NAB Show Live, and we are broadcasting live from the beautiful grand lobby of the Central Hall of the Las Vegas Convention Center at NAB Show 2017. I'm getting a little punchy. It's late in the day. This is my last segment for the day, and you're first. So I'd like to introduce. So what we're going to be talking about is sports today. We're going to actually be talking about live sports today, sports streaming, and the technology that enables that. So, as we say in sports, I am a last-minute substitution, so I might be a little out of shape for this sport. So I'm going to rely on you guys to kind of guide me through. So. We have Jeff Keithley.
That's right.
And Jeff, you're from Live Sports. Tell us about Live Sports.
Sure. We're a Texas-based company. We work all over North America, though. North America meaning Canada and also Mexico. Our primary business is live sports, as in any sporting event, but we do primarily do professional tennis.
So when you say live sports, we're talking about streaming, we're talking about live broadcast?
In general. Broadcast in general, but the majority of ours is streaming currently. For our clients, our largest client is managing to contract us for 30 to 45 events a year that is all streaming back to overseas clients.
So is it the U.S. Tennis Association? Is it
we do work with the USTA, and we were doing the women's side for the Challenger Circuit with them, what they call the Pro Circuit, and it's the Pro Circuit for the men's and women is more or less like kind of like the minor leagues, and so these players are moving up. Maybe some of them are dropped down, and they're making their way in their rankings back up. So they're playing these smaller events and trying to become better and get a higher placement so they can get into the larger events faster.
So for a rabid tennis fan who's following someone who's just coming up, you're the answer.
Exactly. Hours and hours and hours of video that's available that they can watch whoever, whether it's Tim Smyczek, a U.S. player, to Sam Groth, one of the Australian players. We've seen them come from 200, 300 ranking all the way up into the 30s, 40s, 50s.
And then, of course, all of this, it's not just live, it's all available in archive.
Yes, it's all
so
VOD
the footage
also.
is there, and I'm guessing it's all meta-tagged and...
Yes, it's all documented and everything, and the players love that, absolutely love that, because they go back and watch it over and over and over and over.
So it says here, I'm reading from notes, just so you all know, I've got a little cheat sheet here. It says here, Jeff, and I just want to emphasize that Jeff's name is spelled with one F, yes. So he's very economic in his spelling. It says Jeff utilizes NDI in live sports productions covering professional tennis tournaments. Tell me what NDI is.
Okay, NDI for Network Device Interface. It's a video over IP and audio over IP protocol developed by NewTek. And same system that we're using in the back right now, producing this event, which is the VMC and the IP series, is the same system we use in our production vehicles. And our production vehicles are now fully equipped into 4K production. And we use that video over IP solution, NDI, to do all our transport from the camera positions all the way back to the truck.
So all of this library content that's available, well, first of all, how many vehicles do you have?
We have 2 buses and 2 trucks. We actually primarily work out of the tour buses.
And
the
how,
events are back to back to back to back.
I was going to say, how many days are you out a year?
Right now the guys are on their 4th week out, and they have 1 more week to go. And then come July 7th or something like that, we start off the summer swing, and the bus won't return home to home base till November.
Wow. What have you, well, actually, let me go to Jose, and then we'll talk about what you've seen on the floor and what does. So, Jose Navarez.
Yep.
Welcome, and you are from the University of Portland.
Yes, I am.
And do you head the digital department? I can't see.
So my primary job is I work in the athletic department. So the University of Portland is a member of the NCAA Division I. So I oversee all the live video content, which means streaming all our home events for our basketball team, soccer team, volleyball teams, baseball, tennis.
So is there regulations that from the NCAA that you must follow in video streaming? Is there certain quality that you have to hit?
Not dictated by the NCAA, but by our conference there is. So our conference has a digital platform called the W.TV that launched about 3 years ago. So that's where we stream all our content to. That's not on linear television. And so they have their standards that it has to be in HD, it has to be high quality content, and have to have graphics so that it's an enjoyable experience for our viewers to watch our teams play.
Does each conference have its own live TV solution, live streaming solution?
It's kind of getting that way, yeah. A lot of conferences have their own digital network now.
And obviously it's an investment on the part of the university and the athletic department.
It has been. So the initial investment came from the conference, so they provided us with a lot of new tech equipment initially to start off. And then it was up to the university on their own to make an investment to further that. And so our university has been very good about making that investment. Others not so much, but we have a good administration that sees the value in what we're doing and what brand it brings to the university. So they've given me a lot of support, which is very nice.
And is advertising allowed on the platform?
Yes.
So does advertising basically support the program?
It's getting that way. Right now it's still in the red, so it's still growing. But we're pretty close to breaking even. And then from there we'll start making some revenue, which is what we're looking for.
I have to think, much like Jeff said, I have to think that that they're archived, right?
Yes.
So I have to think that players going for the draft or wanting to be recognized, these are assets for them.
Yeah. No, the thing I get asked for the most from our student athletes is after the game they want the milk. They want is like, hey, can I get a close-up angle of my dunk? Or but they also use it to study.
I was going to say, aren't they using it to improve their game?
Yeah, our coaches.
My mother wants to see my dunk.
Yeah, so we roll out 4 to 5 cameras every game. So our coaches really enjoy using that footage to study mechanics and further their own video.
Do you think are the players actually using the video? So I'm hoping to get to the combines, or I'm going to go to the combines. Is this like supplemental material that helps them in the combines?
Yeah, because beforehand all they had was the coach's cam, which was either far away, it was not good quality, you don't have multiple angles of stuff. So they use it. Every player who decides that they want to pursue a professional career we'll give them footage that they can use.
And there's no charge for the footage.
No, it's all part of the.
So that's great. Yeah. And I'm assuming that all the footage is tagged and documented, and you know exactly where to find something.
Yeah, we have a very large array of video assets now because of what we've been able to do. So every player, everything's.
I've got a good data center deal for if you're looking for cloud storage. I'm serious. It's right here in Las Vegas. It's amazing. So I don't know what New Tech is. You both mentioned New Tech. Could somebody tell me?
New Tech is a pioneer of basically a PC-based video switching operating system. So it's a complete production studio in a box.
So why do you need a truck?
Sometimes I ask myself, one, you have to have somewhere to sit.
That's a good point.
Okay, so it is our switching solution.
The new Ford 150 will give you plenty of room.
Well, actually, we use a Ford 650.
There you go.
I am from Texas, so it's got to be big, right?
Got it, I understand.
So we have the 650, which is actually outfitted also with a new tech switcher in it too. And then we have our production buses, which the buses are halfway production in the front. And as we call it, business in the front, party in the back. And so we have the bunks and everything in the back. Because we have
Because you're from Texas, there's got to be some place for those ribs to go.
Well, yeah, it's, of course. But when we're turning over so fast, we are back to back. So we will finish the final on Sunday, and then we will start the next event on Monday morning. So the bus drives overnight. It might be a 3-hour drive, it might be an 8-hour drive or 11-hour drive. And then when they get there, they move from the truck that is preliminary there, that's our advanced truck. They take the fibers out of it, take the power off, put it into the bus, set out the cameras, you're good to go.
Oh, you got a great system.
It's worked out really well for the last 5 years.
So I'm assuming that new tech updates processing power where it's necessary and compute power.
We just went into the IP series most recently for the 4K purposes. In the past, we've used the 860 and 8000 platforms, and just always adding in new feature sets and new things. And they listen to us as users. We have a very good relationship with all the people there. And they've been very responsive to our needs as producers.
Yes, I named our company StoryTech for precisely that, the collaboration between story and technology.
Sure.
Because that's what makes a great product.
Right.
And just as a little point of information and trivia, the reason John Deere is so good is because when John Deere, the original guy named John Deere, came from Boston to the Midwest to help the farmers because they couldn't cut through the sod, he started a tradition of talking to the farmers in the field to find out exactly what they needed.
Sure.
And they still to this day do it. And that's why John Deere is what, I lived in Moline for a while, so that's you can't live there and not get something.
Sure.
So when the upgrade comes from the university side, does new tech work? Does everybody get the same pricing, or is there a little? I'm just asking if there's a little break on the university
I can actually answer that. Everybody is the same pricing. Yeah.
Okay, well that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, that's
we're
fair.
all doing the same thing.
Okay, so you're broadcasting over a fiber network?
No, actually, we're picking up on standard Ethernet from the truck back to a cable modem or DSL modem.
And what's the speed of that?
Usually 10 meg up is what we're booking in. It's 99% all cable modems except for at the universities. We work at about 15 universities through the course of the year, and in each one of those we just pull off of their pipe. And so they set us up on our own dedicated slice of their internet, which I enjoy because it's a lot faster.
Okay, so is it archived in the cloud as it goes out?
Yes, it's all
so
it's
there's
all
no hard
archived
drive,
as
there's
it's recorded.
you're not
As you're streaming, as soon as it's over, it's available. That fast.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So and how is it tagged? In other words,
Actually, the system that we use to send all this out, it's already done. We have a control group that's in the UK. That's kind of our master control, and we work back and forth. Our main client is from the UK. And so we work back and forth with them over Skype and comms, and they take care of all that for us. So
once
we don't
it's
have to
done
do it
and
in
up
the field.
in the cloud, they can get in and start to tag it.
We use the live stream platform is our CDN that we use on the backside, and they work very closely together with IMG in order to develop exactly what the needs fit. It's a very slick system, I have to say.
Wow. So at the university, are media students running this, or is it a paid staff, or?
So it's there's no media department at the University of Portland, so it's all students across various majors. So I have like students that are nursing majors, computer science majors, engineers, business. You think about it, you name it, it's there, except for the kids who are trying to look to do it as a potential career. So usually we get kids that are pretty green, and half of them don't even know much about sports. We're faced with teaching them about production, but also teaching them about sports. Which by the time they leave, I like to think they're pretty familiar with sports. But so we have some games that we put on linear TV with our local RSN, CSN Northwest. So when those games, we bring in some paid staff to help. But it's a combination of students that are involved in as well. But everything else is done primarily by students.
So they're basically getting a practicum.
Pretty much, yeah.
And after they're finished, they can actually go work for Jeff.
Yeah, they definitely could. Yeah. There's a few kids that came in with an idea of what they wanted to do as a career, and after working with us, they're like, wait, this is a lot of fun, like how can I get involved? And they get really into it, they start directing, they start producing, they start doing all the different aspects of a production.
Well, make sure you get my card.
Yeah, that's pretty good, because your business is expanding, right? You're growing all the time.
Yeah.
So you need the experts, and much better that he should train them than you should have to train them. Let me ask you, when the students work there, because I'm going from the academic and the commercial back and forth, is there any credit available for students?
So they can get credit. They also have a student worker budget that I can use to pay them. So it depends on what they decide. Some students decide, hey, I'll take an independent study class and get some credits for doing what we're doing. Much more fun than sitting in the classroom. And then some of them get paid. Depends on.
Does the university use the equipment only for sports, or is it used for conferences or anything else?
Primarily right now we just use it for sports. My crew does stream our commencement. So that's something, it's in our building, so it just makes sense that we do it. It's already there. But primarily right now we're just focused on sports. That keeps us pretty busy all year.
It's interesting because BYU TV is on our cable system, so you can watch any BYU game, any sports, and it's like fully programmed.
Yeah.
To your knowledge, do any universities like share a common channel that they contribute to, or
they usually want it themselves?
They usually want it themselves.
The Texas Longhorn Network. Yeah. They're not going to share with A&M.
So there's a good example. So universities. So to your knowledge, I mean, what is the state of like the Big Ten? Well, Big 8, Big 10, whoever's in it now, Big 11. Do you know, to your knowledge, they are all doing this? Everybody is doing this?
No, not that many large universities are actually doing their own channel. Most of them are probably, as you are, going to the internet and using that method, because you can just, a linear channel is one thing. That's it. That's all you can watch at that point in time. And you have to wait for the next thing to start. But most people nowadays are used to watching on their devices. They're not looking at a TV network at that point or watching a TV. They're looking on their devices. They're watching on their devices, and they want to watch those other content. It's not just football. It's not just basketball. It's not just soccer.
Right.
They want to watch field hockey. They want to watch swimming. They want to watch these other things. And that's where the universities are really excelling.
Are there any sort of Sprint just made an announcement today with Moby TV of like this Sprint hub where you can get sports and music and whatever you want. Yeah. Is there any sort of aggregation of content where you're going to mobile phones or you're going to a carrier that's specifically going to carry your stuff?
ESPN3. Yeah. ESPN3 is, they're really pushing hard to have every college, every university they possibly can have on their platform.
And what is the benefit for the university other than being seen? I mean, it's what is the business model?
That's the biggest benefit, right?
Recruiting-wise, it also helps a lot. Coaches use that a lot to show recruits, like, you come here, you're going to end up on ESPN, you're going to get seen by scouts, and it's a big one for them.
Exposure.
Yeah. So there's no carriage charge.
And bringing the alums back, too. Getting the alums involved, making sure that they're watching and bringing their money back into the fold of the school, too.
Yeah. How did you get into this?
I've been in the production world for 31 years now. Starting in sound and light, got into video, got into broadcast, and I've been doing it a while. So.
But this is your company.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and how old's the company?
Live Sports itself is 3 years old.
Congratulations, my gosh.
I spun that off of another company, which I'm still running, which is Pizzazz, which is a system integration company. And that's where I'm a partner with NewTek on a lot of different sales projects and such. That's why I know so much about them.
That's why you know?
That's why I know so much about NewTek, because I handle a lot of their integrations.
And what was your degree in, Jose?
Computer science. Yeah.
And how did you end up? Did you go to the University of Portland?
No, so I went to another school in Portland, Lewis and Clark College, small liberal arts school, but they bought a TriCaster 40 from NewTek, like my junior year of college, and no one knew how to use it. So I was like, "You want to give it a shot?" I was like, "Sure, I'll try to figure it out." So over the time, I started getting into it, and then my senior year, I did an internship with the Portland Timbers, our MLS team, and that's kind of where it skyrocketed. And then a year after I graduated college is when I started working at the University of Portland.
And were they just looking for somebody? They said, "We're starting this program."
Pretty much, yeah. They had all this equipment. They didn't know what to do with it, and they had someone who kind of knew what to do with it. And I didn't really know that much at first, but NewTek's so easy to learn that, and they have so much like videos that you can watch everything to learn.
Do the other universities know about you?
I think some of them do. So our conference works a lot together, so our network is still growing. So a lot of the other schools will call me and ask me for advice on like, hey, how can I get this integrated? As they're expanding other sports, like I've picked up some knowledge along the way that they can pick from.
But there's no sort of let's all have a little conference and see what we've all learned. There's no like convention or
not 100%.
They should all come here.
Yeah, they should. They really should. This is the place to be.
Do you guys go to SVG?
Yes. So usually every year we go to
SVG is
SVG.
a great resource.
Which stands for
Sports Video Group.
Oh, great.
And tailors a lot to colleges. I go every year. It's really useful. We learn a lot at that.
So, one at a time, what have you seen on the floor that either contributes to your business or has really thrown you in there? You went, oh my God, that is so cool.
I love seeing the very warm embrace finally for NDI and video over IP. I've been using it since it came out, and I just love seeing all the other products adding it to their mix. So their outputs, their inputs, it's all coming together. And it is like SDI, but it's over IP. And it just the capabilities of the flexibility that it gives you, being able to route any input to any output, and you do it all on the network without having to
And you can
reattach
actually edit
cables.
on a tablet if you need to.
Oh,
right?
yeah, tablets, phones, whatever. You can see. I use my phone as an NDI camera, and just take it out and do shots with it. It's amazing.
Well, not
the
that I'm doing
flexibility.
any commercials, but I just got the S8. And the camera on that thing is amazing.
Right.
I'm like, whoa.
So do you carry around like a fire extinguisher with you? or-
I think they got this one right. This is the one they got right. And I hope so, because all the peripherals that go with it, like they have a new 360 camera that goes with it, new Gear VR with a controller that goes with it. So hopefully they got it right. Might sterilize me, but
exactly.
but the heat's still hot, but not going to catch on fire. What have you seen?
Like Jeff, NDI, I've also been using it ever since I came out, and for us it made it super easy, especially our entire our campus is networked. So
perfect.
It's beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful.
You
so
plug in anywhere.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. I can plug something in, our communication system's IP, our audio's IP, so the embrace of IP, so last year was my first NAB, and now seeing this one, the embrace of IP has been huge.
So does New Tech also provide the cloud services, or you go out and get those on your own?
No, they have a device called the Media DS, which is a streaming partner with Wowza Media Server. So you can use that to do endpoint streaming, but they're not a cloud-oriented company per se.
So you go out and get your own?
Usually the CDNs are kind of up on whoever you want to contract and how you want to deliver it. For us and the delivery we're doing overseas, IMG and Livestream had a partnership already, and that's what they wanted to use as their backbone, and so it is.
So there's a ton of choices, obviously.
Oh yes,
It's a very competitive market.
It is very much. It's almost become a commodity. It's actually.
So that means your prices are dropping? And
No, not at all. No, but just as the point of when you need distribution, they used to do it by the megabyte, by the gigabyte, and so you could get, oh hey, I want to have more viewers. Then you would look at the bill at the later. Wow, we had a lot of viewers. Now that's a lot of money. But now with like Livestream has an unlimited viewing choice. There's a couple others that do also. You stream all. You pay one amount, and it's as many viewers as you want.
When did that?
Facebook's the same way.
When did that change?
2-3 years ago.
It's kind of interesting how everything has to go to unlimited now.
Yeah.
It's like when you talk about a commodity, it's like this is the cost of doing business. You know, it's like it's like free water to get you to be in the house.
Exactly.
What about the drones?
For us, it's a safety issue.
Oh, really?
I just have a problem putting anything above people. There are thousands of people in attendance. I don't want the liability. Yeah. So we have one. We play with it. When nobody's around.
But
I do not.
Did
put
you
it up
stop
live.
at any of the booths?
No, I pass them by. I don't want to get addicted.
Well, it's really interesting because between last year and this year, the safety mechanisms in the drones now are amazing. As a matter of fact, I work with a cinematographer, and the things scare the crap out of me because they're like alive. And he said, could you just stand there and on the beach? He said, could you just stand there and catch it when it comes down to your hand? And I'm like, I felt like I was holding an animal. But it comes back to home. It has crash avoidance. It has all of these things.
But it's the problem. When does it go wrong? What happens? I mean, there was someone that was hurt pretty bad at the Olympics. It hit him in the head and knocked him out. So I just don't want that kind of liability for us. I mean, for you could probably use them for wide shots or.
Yeah,
get
we're
them
kind of
out
in the
there.
same boat though. We don't want to put it in the stadium when there's people there. But
Exactly.
we use it to get shots to come in and out of commercial breaks. Or
What
just
about cable cams? Do you wire for that?
Actually, we use cable cams. We have a linear cable cam that we use. Every once in a while, not too frequently, we have moved to full robotics. Is one technology that we just recently did with the 4K expansion. All our cameras are completely IP controlled robotically. They're not PTZs that are built in, but it's a robotic head, much like these Ventons here. We use Mark Roberts instead, but what it allows us to do is program shots where we need them, but we also allows us to operate them from the production bus or beyond. Now that they're IP controlled, eventually we'll have a set of guys that'll be able to sit at the office and operate the cameras completely remotely.
It's so handy
from the
when you
site.
have to go to the bathroom, you can take your phone to the bathroom. You don't miss a thing.
Absolutely.
So. Okay, I want to ask you, you have VR Live, you have Next VR that has a deal with Fox, you have Intel bought a company, Voke.
Yeah.
So you have this trend in live 360 streaming. How do you feel about that? Is it something that you think you'll
personally?
I don't think you have to say anything, Jeff. Your poker face gave you away.
I did too much poker at the World Series of Poker. All right, so I do not like VR. Personally, as a producer, I think
You
it
realize
takes.
you're talking to a VR producer, but go ahead.
I don't believe it has a place in the full public. It has a place in certain places. Like I want to tour Cabo San Lucas and I want to see what it's like. But in sports or live events, I don't feel like VR has a place. I feel like it needs a story told. And so whenever we're producing an event, we're trying to tell a story with the cameras. And whenever you just put a camera out there that anybody can see, they're just going to play around for a little while and then what? They're not getting the story of what's happening.
It's interesting. The industry is moving forward very, very rapidly, and new techniques, new production techniques are even multi-camera 360 is starting to happen.
Yeah.
And the investments that's being made in the technology are like sky high.
Yes, very much
because they
so.
believe in an ecosystem. Is it something you would consider, Jose?
I played around with it a little bit. Kind of like Jeff, it will never replace our full production. It's just there's so much that you lose. It's kind of a cool thing that we put out. I have a 360 camera that I kind of mess around with every once in a while, but nothing that I've invested a lot of time in because I'd rather invest the time in our broadcasts where you are getting the story.
Well, and the other thing is, I mean, honestly, at this point, how many people are going to be able to watch that this year? I mean, talk 10 years from now, and it may be the technology may be a whole different way to experience sports.
I think it has a place. I just don't think it has a place in sports.
Got it. I can respect that. So we're actually coming to the end, and as my coaches, I would just like to ask you how I could improve today's sort of moderation, because I can't go back. This was live stream, and I've got to wait like 3 weeks for the archive. I can't go back.
It should be faster.
It should be faster. So this is great. Jose, Jeff, thank you so much for being with us today and talking about a subject that I now know more about than I ever had hoped to or thought I would. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You're watching NAB Show Live, and I think we're at the end of our broadcast day. Is that accurate? We are at the end of our broadcast day, but we're not finished yet. Join us tomorrow here, live from the Las Vegas Convention Center in the beautiful grand lobby of Central Hall for NAB Show Live. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Brian Seth Hurst. Good night.